Hi, Redland. I have three small vignettes that I want to share with you, patriotic vignettes. Before I share them with you, I want to say that I'm indebted to wallbuilders.com for most of the historical content in these stories. Wallbuilders.com is a great resource to learn about the history of our country through actual historical documents and learn from a Christian perspective. Today I'm going to be sharing about the bell, the flag, and the hymnal. First, the bell. The Liberty Bell has been associated with the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, when it is said to have rung to proclaim the news of freedom from Great Britain. All of that didn't happen on that exact date, and the bell itself had been around for a while by that point. The Liberty Bell was constructed 25 years earlier in 1751 to commemorate the 50th year of the Charter of Pennsylvania. On the bell is an inscription, a quote from Leviticus 25:10, which says, "Proclaim liberty throughout all the land, unto all the inhabitants thereof." I love that the proclamation on the bell existed well before the bell could live up to that quote. Even after it rang in 1776, however, liberty throughout the land did not yet exist for all of her inhabitants. Our new nation did come close, but was not able to remove slavery at her inception. That would have to wait another 80 years or so before the flag flew over a free nation for all in which slavery had been abolished. It is to that flag that we now turn. Frederick Douglass, the escaped slave, spoke of the shame associated with the flag. He said, "While slavery exists and the union of these states endures, every American citizen must bear the chagrin of hearing his country branded before the world as a nation of liars and hypocrites. And behold, his cherished national flag pointed at with the utmost scorn and derision." Douglass was right, and the perception of the flag did change at the time of the Civil War. The 20th Colored Regiment out of New York, for example, were proud recipients of the American flag, now willing to march under her standard. Another example comes from the 1st South Carolina Volunteer Regiment. In this regiment, Corporal Prince Lambkin said this to his fellow officers, who were all former slaves: "Our masters, they have lived under the flag. They got their wealth under it, and everything beautiful for their children. Under it, they have ground us up and put us in their pocket for money. But the first minute they think that old flag meant freedom for we colored people, they pulled it right down and run up a rag of their own." This was to immense applause. He continued, "But we'll never desert the old flag, boys, never. We have lived under it for years, and we'll die for it now." I love to hear the swell of nationalistic pride for a nation as it strives to better reflect the peal of liberty that came from our bell years ago. Perhaps the crack in the bell is a reminder that no nation will fully ring out true liberty until the kingdom of Christ. Contemporary issues, the things going on in the world today, they may reveal that we have a ways to go, but I do like to occasionally see how far we've come. Sometimes churches ask how patriotic we should be. We are, after all, ambassadors for Christ first and Americans second. And I can't resolve that issue in a short time, but I do know I can stand as a Christian who is proud of his nation for her advances in the cause of liberty, especially when those advances have been driven by committed Christians. A staggering number of signers of both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were committed Christians. Many of them were pastors. The final vignette is of a pastor turned military leader in the Revolution. His name was Reverend James Caldwell. Caldwell found himself in a pitched battle along with his men during the Revolutionary War. And during this war, this battle, they discovered that they were without wadding for their guns. That meant that they wouldn't be able to fire them. Well, Caldwell raided a nearby Presbyterian church in the town, and he came out with a stack of Watts hymnals from Isaac Watts, who authored so many hymns that we even sing, including "O God, Our Help in Ages Past," "Joy to the World," and "Jesus Shall Reign." His soldiers saw the significance. Not only would the pages serve as wadding, Their message carried the theological weight that had driven the American Revolution. Perhaps that's why, as Reverend Caldwell lofted a hymn book filled with spiritual truth, he cried out, "Give 'em Watts, boys!" Spiritual depth and an understanding of true freedom, along with the moral grounding that comes from God's word, is of paramount importance if any nation is to be free. So, it is with that understanding that I hope you'll take some time to thank God for our great country. Thank those who uphold our freedoms daily and help proclaim true liberty to the inhabitants of our land. As free as any nation can be, that true liberty cannot come except through Christ. Happy Independence Day.